Hello, fellow map makers. I hope you're all fine and can hear me. And let me know if anything is wrong with the jack. Anyway, welcome to another live map making session for tonight. Thank you. Good that you're hearing me. And there's a few viewers around already. The YouTube counter has caught up with at least a few of them, and it's not claiming anymore nobody's watching, so that's nice. I am Ralf Schimmann of Profanity Software, and I want to show you how to create a 1930s travel guide style floor plan tonight, as the last in a series of 3 sessions where we looked at city, overland, and now floor plan maps in turn, all based on maps of 1930s and 1940s Baedeker travel guides, which are kind of produce an iconic mapping style that we reproduced a little bit in the Cartographer's Annual. And today we want to actually look at the first one we published for that. I'm just going in the wrong order. And we're going to look at floor plans. Alright, so as always, if you have any questions during the session, do post them in the chat. There's many people around there who can answer that, and if possible I can also show solutions and tools on screen, so don't hesitate to ask if you want to dig into something a little deeper. Good, so let's see what we want to do. I do have the little example map from German Museum on screen that came with the Cartographer's Annual, and I want to make something a little bit more archaic, more ancient tonight, and was thinking we could recreate the floor plan of an old ancient Egyptian temple. So let's see how we're gonna go about that. For that I'm gonna start a new map first and save this one. The 1930s travel guide floor plans are under the map floor plans map types, and you see them up here. I also got some 1800s, some older stuff around there, though they are fairly similar to be honest, but we're going to look at the 1930s floor plans here, again in imperial and metric versions. I'm going to go with the imperial version, click next, and then I'm going to set the size, or I'll leave the default size in here. You might be wondering why this is a little bit off from the default 1000 by 800 size. That's because the map border was set up a little bit different on this map style, with some of the ornamentation included on the map border layer, and therefore it does count a little bit different, but it's basically the same size. So I'm just going to click finished and check out my map size later whether I want to change anything. So we call that the temple map, and here we are with our blank map to start with. Alright, so I'm gonna, as usual, if I want to map something historical, I check the map, the internet before that, did a little image search. I could have grabbed one of my Baedekers here on the shelf and flipped through that for a map, but it saved me a step, basically, the scanning step, to grab something from the net, from the web, and I did find a very nice map of the Temple of Horus in Edfu, and let's see whether I can import that. I'm sorry, I've got a bit of a hay fever going on. There was a sneeze coming on, but which is now going away again, so hopefully that won't interfere too much. Whoops, here we go. So I'm going to do draw, insert file, and here's my sample temple. I'm going to grab that and import the map into our drawing. So I've already switched that by 90 degrees, so I'm a bit easier on the screen format here. There's the cat coming and checking on me. Yep, she is. Say hi, Asa. Here we go. And back to the map. All right, so we do have this map. It's actually from a French edition of a Baedeker, as you can see from the labeling. And that doesn't concern us, really. The map remains the same, no matter which language it is labeled in. What we don't have is actually a scale in this one. Basically, the Baedeker is not really concerned with exact scales on these. It's more interested in the layout to show people where to wander around and where to find stuff. And on the floor plans, it's not really important for them how big everything is exactly. Yes, as Remy says, I know you're all just here for the cat, so I've satisfied that. So you can just all turn to your other endeavors and come back next week. All right, so I could check the size of the temple in some other location and scale everything exactly, but actually, since I'm not too concerned about the exact size of this myself, I'll just leave that as is and start mapping from this map. We can always scale everything to the correct sizes later. Good thing about Campaign Cartographer, scales are variable. You can always rescale stuff. All right, so let's have a look. We're going to start with the two pylons, the big entry walls that make up the front of the temple. And as you can see, it's mainly big walled blocks of rock or mortared face filled with rubble. And we'll do this as a mostly solid wall. And I'm going to use a grid to make this easier. And so let's check our grid setting first. See, we've got a fairly large grid with 50 feet to a grid with 5 snaps in between. I think we can make this a bit smaller. Let's try with a 10-foot grid. There you can see more of the grid on screen, I hope. And we should be able to work with this. And then we are going to check out our wall settings. We want to draw walls first. If I right click on the default wall tool, you'll see I'll have a variety of different tools available, but I want a closed one, or basically a solid polygon one. So I'm going to use the current width one with the 0 width. That makes it a solid polygon. And then I'm going to zoom in and start my first close in here, and gonna see how we do here with our grid size. It looks quite nice. We're not too concerned about exact measurements here. I just want the general impression of the map size. And here we do have our first. And what I'm already seeing, I inserted my bitmap without any regards to sheets, and that's why it's covering my wall. It's often the case. Get a few tech support issues regularly about that. I draw something and I do a refresh and then it's vanished. That's often because stuff is behind other objects on screen. So let's have a look. Info list on our bitmap. Do it. And as you can see, I inserted it on the text sheet. So what I want to do is I want to change that. I want to create a fresh sheet for my bitmap, so I can hide that individually. And then I'm just gonna, I could use the move to sheet command from the sheets and effects dialog button, but I can also use change properties, click the edge of my bitmap, press D for do it, and then set it to the bitmap sheet down here, which also allows me to change the layer at the same time. And I want to change that to temporary. Okay, refresh, and now we can see we do have our wall section that we've drawn already on the map. So you can see the whole, or much of the layout is actually symmetrical of the temple along the central horizontal axis. Not everything exactly, as you can see up here, the interior chambers here are not exactly symmetrical, the layout, but the general layout is. So what we can do is we can save some work by putting in the symmetry line and mirroring stuff along it. That makes working, or saves us quite a bit of work. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go on the temporary layer, because I want to delete that later, and I'm going to put this on floors, and I'm going to make it a standout color so I can see it more easily. And then I'm just going to put in a line and see where I want to be. There's the center here. We are not quite exactly on the center with the grid activated, but I think we're going to be fine using this line, and then just going to make sure to make the line orthogonal. And there's our symmetry line on the map. And now if we want to do the symmetrical portion of the wall in here, instead of drawing this again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to extract the properties for that, so I'm just sure I'm on the same sheet. And then I'm going to right click the copy button, choose mirrored copies, select the object I want to mirror, press D for do it, and draw a bit on my symmetry line here. And as you can see, I've got the map, the wall on the opposite side, just for the copy operation instead of redrawing it. So that's pretty nice, and we can go on with drawing the next section of our wall. I'm going to do the rest of the pylon here, and I'm not going to do the whole wall in one go. I'm just going to do sections of it, makes it a bit easier on the work. Save in between. Go to my walls again, and now I'm just gonna see I can actually draw all the way up to here. Here we go. I could put in the corridors later, or I could just do an overlay floor, but here I'm just going to follow this and draw in the corridors as I see them. Put in the little side rooms here. As you can see, I'm not concerned about the exact sizes. Exact match. I just want the general layout. Here we go. Let's do a little error in here just to show you the editing options. I say I forget this nook and just do an end here. I can see I've got the whole thing ready, and then realize, oh, I've forgotten one of the nooks in here. Problem is I can't really see it. So how do I make this visible behind that for the moment? I can just add a transparency effect to my wall, 50% opacity. And now I can see my little nook in here. And to edit the existing wall, I select my, oops, that was the wrong button. Tool again, and then press E for edit, as you can see in the command line. I'm going to start here and then just redraw that section. And there's my second nook in the front of the pylon. And now I could just go and copy this over and perhaps then do some changes if the interior layout is, as you can see, the layout is different here between these two. But I'm just going to continue working on the rest for now and do several things at once later, copying them over. So next up are my, no, actually I should do this section of wall up here first. There we go. Looks good. And then we do have the pillar. This is available both through the list of drawing tools here. There we are, all the same, just through the symbol catalog here. And for that, I'm gonna there you click the center of your pillar first, and then set the size. And now I'm gonna copy this. See, for now I'm gonna turn off my transparency again so I can see my pillars more. Alright, that's not good. Let's see what we can recover. For that I'm gonna start the map. Oh, you're gonna get a little preview of the annual that's coming out on Saturday. And let's load up our autosave drawing. Oh, I fear. No, bitmap is not saved. It's been a while since this has saved. So let's see what I saved in my. Okay, yeah. Zoom says that the problem is probably because I adjusted the transparency, the sheet effect in the middle of the copying command. Could have been the case, though it should not happen definitely, but perhaps that's possible. Let's see my temple. No, we did lose a bit, but not too much, unfortunately. So let's have a quick work in recreating this. There we are. It's annoying, of course, but stuff like that happens occasionally, especially when you're demoing stuff. Here we go. There's that section of wall again, and let's recreate this bit. And now we're already back at the pillars. Let's save this for now. Save again, copy, and see whether we can do it without breaking anything this time. The distances are not all equal between these pillars, but at least we managed to set everything up correctly. So now, do we want to leave it at this, or correct the assume that they all should all be equidistant? They probably are in reality, though reality is not always perfect. So let's have a look here without the bitmap in the background. You can see we do have some odd spaces in here. Well, this matches the entrance here on the side. A little further gap between these is fine. See, and I suggest we could use an array for the pillars if we wanted to make them all equally distant. That's certainly possible. Let's show you how to do that. Though an array is even more useful if you have several lines. But let's see, how many do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So let's show you how to make 8 copies in one go. Again, make sure you're on the same correct sheet for the moment. Then you right-click the copy button and then rectangular array. Select the first you want to copy. And I want 8 columns, but just one row. The repeat origin is in the center of our original object, and the destination, the repeat second row, second column, it's actually the first row because we only have one. It's going to be here, and then we do have 8 equidistant pillars. I can, of course, also say I want to add one more to do a little change from the original floor plan, because I'm not going to map edfu, because we do have a map for that already, but I'm going to create a fictional version of a temple. And so one little first change is changing the pillars in the courtyard. Also, what I can do is can use the copy button, select the object we want to copy, press D for do it, copy from this point to the center of this one, so that way we could continue adding pillars here in that direction. Let's do one more, and they will all be equally distant because we chose the copy origin and the inserting, or the new copy. The distance between these two is the same as the distance between the previous pillars. There we are. So that's our courtyard here on that side. Let's turn on the bitmap again. And do a little bit more work on the walls. And we're going to continue here. That's a bit much, I think. Oh no, that works fine. There we go. Now I'm only going to go to the center here, not going to the whole wall, just up to the center. And that way, when we mirror copy that later, it'll just connect automatically and close the outer wall. And here we do see we have I did a little misclick here. I've got this sharp corner in here. So what I'm going to do, instead of using the edit function, is just one node I need to change. I'm going to use the node edit here. Click the node I want to change. Click the new location, and we fixed it. Alright, this, as you can see, the interior part gets a bit complicated. It's probably not good to make this whole thing in as a mirror, as just the half and mirror it, because the two sides are too different. I could do part of it here, just do this section here. I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to grab the wall tool. I've got a question there from Furthus. I'll get to that in a moment when I'm done drawing this wall here. See here, I'm gonna just go through this and stop my wall at that point. And I do need to fix a few things. There we are, and I think I want to make this a little wider, like this. Alright, first asks if I use an array or multiple object on different sheets layers, like something drawn with a tool that has separate outline, are the layers sheets being kept? Sheets not, because the copy command will put everything on the current sheet. That's what I know, but actually with the layers, if you do that with separates, yes, they will keep the other properties. They will keep it. You could also copy objects of different fill styles. That's just another property, just like layers, and those will be kept. Each specific copy of that part of the multiple entities you're copying will have the same again as its original one. But the sheets will, all the entities will end up on the current sheet. So we do have a few more pillars here to draw. As you can see, I'm careful here with the saving before my operations. Burnt child from the previous pillars, basically. So these are a little bit larger. And if I have multiple copies that I want to copy, I'll do a repeat of the copy command with selecting both. Makes it easier instead of putting each one down individually or copying each one individually. And there we are. So there's a little extra here. You've got this quite often outline of a floor area or wall area that indicates a lower, not a fully raised wall, but a dais or pedestal or something, or a step. And we do have tools for that as well. We have the stairs step, or we could just use the narrow wall tool for that. I'm going to do that. And with that, I'm going to draw the outline as shown here on the original map. There we are. And now I can copy my work and complete the floor plan, or the most of the floor plan, with the mirrored copy operation. For that, I'm gonna do mirrored copies. Gonna select everything here on that side, but then deselect by holding down Control and clicking at that section that I've already copied previously. Then press D for do it and draw my mirror line along my center symmetry line here. And there we are. Just hide the bitmap for the moment to show. And there we do have most of the section of the floor plan already. Nice, it's looking pretty good. Let's see whether we can finish the rest here, the more complicated area. Again, we can take a look whether we can do a significant part that we just the half and then mirror copy that. Makes it easier, especially with objects here like that are basically symmetrical. And we can put in the rooms and stuff later. So let's have a look and go with this first. I'm gonna attach that to the existing wall here. And here I'm just gonna... how do I do that? First, let's go like... I'm just gonna go up all the way up here first and add the rest later. There we are. That's one section, the outer wall of this interior, of this main part of the temple. And then I think I'm just gonna add this bit here. Again, only drawing half of it. Right, and then I'm gonna do this section here one by one. I could, let's copy this first. So I want to get it out of the way. Right click, mirrored copies. These three objects, default do it, mirror line. There we are. And continuing. I'm making the rooms a little bit larger than they probably are in reality here, just to make it a little bit easier on me. The drawing at this point, you can see I forgot a corner in there. Again, I can just use the node edit or the node add command to add the missing one. And this way I'm gonna follow the outlines of the different walls to define the rooms and all the nooks and little crannies of the temple interior. Can tell you from experience these are really tiny in places, these rooms, and very narrow corridors can be quite suffocating to be in one of these places. But it's certainly worthwhile and a great experience. I haven't been to Edfu itself, but I've been to a couple other ancient Egyptian temples and to some of the tombs in the Valley of Kings, and especially the letters can be quite claustrophobic. Oh, slowly getting there. And there's the outline of these rooms. Do a little bit of stuff in here. If you're doing something wrong in mid-command, like I've been doing here, and notice, you can always hit the delete button to undo the last few points you've done and restart, replace them. There we are. So we've got the half here. And if I would want to make it all symmetrical, I just could copy the stuff over, but I do want to keep the changes a bit here. So say, let's have a look at the and re-add our transparency. See, it's a bit hard to see because the scan is bad, but basically the gap in the wall with the doorway is actually a bit further to the right here, so I want to change that a bit. So what I can do in this case, I have two objects at the same time, and I could edit each one, of course, but I can also just stretch all the points I want to stretch. So I'm going to do an edit, reshape, stretch, then select the entities I want to stretch, those two, press D for do it. And now I need to draw a window around all the nodes I want to stretch. So all these here making up the doorway, and then I can just move them. I could move the whole walls up and down, but of course I don't want to do that. I just want to move this a little bit to the right. And there, as you can see, I've moved everything one grid snap off to the right. And then I'm gonna add more walls. Take advantage of the undo function within the command here again. There I want to make the entrance symmetrical, so I'm paying attention to where the points are on the opposing wall. Just going to move this down here. Same at this point here. Go. So some small labyrinthine rooms and corridors. Here we are getting close to finishing the interior here. It's a bit too much. Narrower. There we are. The grid helps a lot to make this all fairly regular. Probably more regular than it was in real life, but still it makes it a lot easier. Otherwise it's going to be quite a jumble of corners and stuff if you just try to follow this by hand. And as if you're like me and like your maps fairly tidy, then using the grid is a god's end. And we're fairly close to the original layout. Not exact, of course, but that wasn't our aim. And one more wall here. And there's our wall layout. Pretty much done. Well, we just have some pillars left here in the center. And then here I can do a nice little array again. And I'm thinking my minimum size for the pillars due to the grid is a little bit too large. I want to have them a little bit smaller. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn off snap for the moment. That way I can place the outer point on my pillar freely and make the pillar a little bit smaller. I'm going to turn the snap on again, and I'm going to do another array. Hooray! Right click, rectangular array, select my pillar, press D for do it. This time I will just want 3 columns and 2 rows. And here the repeat origin is, again, I take the center of my existing pillar, and now I need to move it down here where I want my next one in the next row to be. There we are, and there we do have our regular array, and the other half I'm going to create again by doing the mirrored copy. Let's do it, mirror copy. There we are. And I'm noticing I actually have a slight error here in my wall, and I'm just gonna fix this with the node edit command. And there we are. There's our layout of the Temple of Edfu. Now I do want to try out a little bit of stairs. There would actually be no or hardly any stairs in most of these temples. They are fairly flat itself. There might be stairs leading up to it and so on, but I do want to show you the very simple stairs tool we have in this style. So let's have a look and take a look at all the drawing tools here. Come on, there we are. And we do have some floors, stairs here. That's not horizontal. There's something off here. Might just be the display. Let's have a look and see whether we can do... No, I think I was in the middle of something there still. See whether this works. Draw. And there we are, and that's a very simple option to just draw some generic stairs leading up here, and to have a place somewhere to put some vertical stairs. Let's do. I just want to try the tool here. This is oddly labeled. Let's see. That's mislabeled. Yeah, seems to be mislabeled in the style. Something I have to check. So, yeah, well, I mean, you can horizontal, if you mean the steps are going from left to right. I probably meant that when I created that. Then this is the correct layout. Steps vertical going from the north to south in the map. Then this would be right. But it's obviously opposite from the lines in the polygons. Might be a bit confusing. Did confuse me there for a second, but it does work. Just have to be aware which direction your stairs are going. So I wanted to fill out this section as well. So I'm thinking there's a slope inside the entryway here that's crossed by a couple of flights of stairs. And assuming that the whole section is a bit on the slope, I'll put in a couple more stairs at later points in the map here. Here is one, another one here, and another one here. Yeah. The same way you can just use floor edge lines here to show steps, or not steps, but how do you call that? Well, the little step inside the door, basically. I can't remember the English word for that at the moment. It's a Schwelle in German, but I can't remember the English word at the moment. Alright, and this way we could go through the whole threshold. Thank you, Sue. That's the word I was looking for, the threshold. Yes, and as Bill mentions, there would often be stairways leading up to the roof, especially in the pylons often. And that really reminds me, I forgot that I actually have to draw some interior spaces in the pylons, which I left out when I started. So let's have a look, save the map, activate transparency. And here we are missing these interior corridors. And for that, I'm making sure my grid is on. And then I'm gonna just use the same tool again and edit it, the existing wall outline to go. And add the interior rooms in here. I think I clicked a little bit too early there. Yes, missing a node I needed in there, but again, this is easily fixed by just using the insert node command. Click on this section here, add the missing node. And there we are. And now I say I wanted to show that's a stairway here leading up inside the pylon, perhaps to the roof, or to just some lookout on the front. So there would be sometimes tiny windows up here. And that's how I put the stairway in there. So that was the corridors on this side of the pylon, and let's turn the sheet effect again to do the same on this side. Edit again. It's a bit hard to see, especially with my highlighter in the way, but I'm managing. Here we go. And also a little side corridor here, probably leading to a stair. This time, don't forget the extra node. And transparency off, and I'm actually going to hide the bitmap here as well. Now you can see the interior layout within the front wall, the pylon. And again, I'm going to add a little stairway here. We are. Also, floor edges here. Quite often like to add these to show the thresholds. Again, it might be easier to, in some places, to draw just one side and do the mirror copy to get everything to the same location on the other side, but this is not too much here, so I can just do that individually on each side. And so on. And also you can see we already have a very nice little temple layout, which we can use for a little above ground dungeon crawl, as I read in the comments a little earlier. And there we are. Now that I'm finished with all the mirror copying, I would delete my center line, and I can move the whole thing a little bit more into the center. Say if this is about the center of my map. There we are. That looks good. And then I could start labeling my map. And for that, I'll switch to dark gray. I often on maps like these don't go for the full black on labelings and stuff, and more on a very dark gray, because it represents a print and perhaps an older print and stuff, and the black would probably have faded a little in there, or not be that absolute black that our standard zero color is. So now we could put in here courtyard, for example, in the center here. And start labeling the whole thing. Perhaps we want to switch the orientation of the map, or we can just add in the, as we saw in the original, it's actually north-south aligned along the central axis. So we rotated it by 90 degrees. And we can do that just in the map by putting in a compass rose, or a north arrow, actually, not the compass rose, it's more just a north arrow, and put that on the side and show the direction here. Then we do have a scale bar. This, of course, needs to be at size 1 to show the correct size. Oh, this is probably a bit large. So this is 100 feet, and the courtyard is almost 200 feet across, which sounds a lot for a what might just be, but perhaps it's a bit much. So what we are going to do is we are going to actually not going to scale the whole map. Just don't want to bother about this here. So what instead I'm going to do is I'm just going to ignore my internal measuring of the map and make the scale bar double the size, which effectively halves the size of the courtyard as drawn. So if we still want to do the measurements, we just need to halve the distances we measure on the map here, so that 235 foot would be 117.5 foot if we took that scale bar in. Yes, our measurements. Alright, a map title, of course, Ancient Temple. Move that around a little bit more in the corner. Say I wanted to put in a copyright notice. Copyright. Ooh, see, see, it's been a long time since we started the annuals. So 123 by Pro Fantasy software. Okay, and there's my copyright notice in the map. And I could go on labeling this, which is a bit boring here on screen, which I don't want to go into it. So if you've got any more questions, this is your last chance to ask them, because I think I'm pretty much done with my floor plan map, and I don't want to fill out the last 5 minutes with just fluff, or just repeating and putting in all my labels and things. So what I actually could do is take a look whether I can put in some textures. Normally these would obviously not have textures or anything, because the print would need to be kept simple for printing, but I can take a look whether I do have anything in here I could use. Ketchup, Jeremy asked whether cat worshipping takes place, or basically his Jack, his cat, honors that. And that would be all over the place, of course. Cats are worshipped everywhere, aren't they? Not. So, but I think, not sure, I do have symbol fills set up in here. Actually, I do, I think. Let's have a look. Yes, there's some cobbles and stuff, but no paving. Yes, there's my paving symbols. And let's have a quick look whether we can actually put in paving on my courtyard here. I did choose a certain symbol fills on the paving symbol, which I quite like for a simple paving fill style. It's not set up as a drawing tool in this style. I just want to add something here to it. So I'm going to go to the floor sheet and put on all my settings by hand. And then I'm just going to draw a rectangle across this space here. Oops, I'm already seeing that's not quite, it's a bit too small, but we do have a large version of the symbol. Paving large. Here we go. Yeah, I can see, but it's a bit, it's black. It doesn't fit the rest of the style very much. It could also be a bit larger, perhaps even. So let's have a look whether we can fix some of that. All right, and for that we do need to edit the symbol that makes up the symbol fill. How do we do that? It's part of our symbol manager, but you need to show the fill style symbols up here. And there's all our different symbol fills included in the map. Symbol fills were the big thing with CC2 Pro before we introduced bitmap fills. So they're not used that often anymore, but they can still be useful for our simple vector styles like this. And I'm actually seeing I do have a 31 color, so that's a vari-color version of the paving symbol in here, so I don't need to edit my existing paving. I could go in here and edit this and make this brown, but I could just also take a look and whether I can change the... No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mess up my view on the map. Here we are. I'm going to undo this, or yeah, I'm going to erase the courtyard here, and I'm going to go for my... yeah, there's the paving 31 version of the symbol. 31 is the number for our symbol color, and if you see that in a symbol name, it usually means that this symbol is vari-color. And as you can see, we do have that in there. And if we want to make it larger a little bit, let's have a look at the symbol. You can see that we do have these sizes in here. And we could make that 1.5 the size, 1.5, 1.5. Click OK. And there my courtyard fill is a little bit larger. So if we just wanted to indicate that this is open to the outside, put a courtyard in, or just mark for printing, make our map a little bit prettier for our purposes, we can add symbol fills like this. And if you wanted to make it a little less obvious, we can also just add a bit of a transparency, say 75% of the floor sheet, and this way it's softened a little bit into the background. Alright, and here we are at 7 o'clock, and I'm pretty much finished for my map. And we are finished with our series of 1930s travel guide styles. Very nice. I find them very useful for modern horror type maps, especially for Call of Cthulhu, set in the 20s, 30s, or 40s. And of course, they evoke the time and the setting quite well. Next week, we'll probably be looking at the annual, which is coming out on Saturday, and I hope to see you then, just before Easter. Thanks for watching, and thanks for participating. Have a good weekend, or rest of the week, and then the weekend, and see you again next week. Bye-bye.